Ghana is one of the hot spots in Africa right now, given, of course, Africa in the spotlight. Now, the stock market is up more than 50% this year, but many ordinary Ghanaians complain about the lack of jobs and basic services. The central bank expects the dollar crunch that has pushed the Cedi currency to a record low to ease from July. That's on hard currency inflows from a Eurobond issue. Now, for more on Ghana and the current economic situation, I'm joined by Ronak Gabalders, country risk analyst at RMB. Ronak, thanks for joining us today. You've just come back from Ghana. Of course, if you look at the balance sheet of the country right now, it's not looking pretty. Fitch has got the country on negative watch right now. And of course, we've had the president, which has been in office for 6 months. What's the feeling like on the ground? What really stood out for you being in the capital city there?
Yeah, I think, most presidents, when they come into office, they get a bit of a honeymoon period to settle down, to get things going. Hasn't really been the case for President Mahama. He's had power outages, water shortages, labor unrest to deal with. The economic data has been very bad. The negative watch by Fitch came out, and also the shadow of the Supreme Court trial is hankering over his head. So all in all, it's been quite a challenging 6 months, and still a lot of challenges going forward.
Quickly, let's touch on this Supreme Court issue. Election petition has come through. It started out in around April. So, they're basically saying that there could be two outcomes to this. They say that the president is legitimately the president right now, or they call for another election. What's the likely outcome?
Look, I think, the most recent example we've had of this is the Al Gore, George W. Bush example in the States in 2000. And I think, the outcome would be quite similar. I think, what's come out of the court proceedings so far is that there have been some irregularities. Whether they're material enough to overturn the initial outcome of the election, my view is that that's highly unlikely. That said, you can't rule out anything. I think the key now is to get some finality on the matter, and the sentiment on the ground
between the two different parties, in a sense, and the two different camps.
Yeah, look, I think there's very little tension politically on the ground in Ghana. I think this is largely a political thing. The top brass of the NPP are protesting, and I think what we will see in the next election is electoral reform. I'd be highly surprised if the results of the election was overturned. So I think, drawing a line under this, hopefully by the end of July, which is when the legal fraternity in Ghana go on recess, will be a positive signal.
Yeah, certainly is a shadow hanging over the country right now. When we're talking about the economic situation, you've got the current account deficit, which is shot up to 12.1%. You've got, funding, which is coming through at very expensive rates. So how sustainable is the economic situation? I mean, what's the country and the government doing right now to address this?
So in the short term, it's not a very pretty picture at all. I mean, you've got your twin deficits, you've got rising inflation, currency weakness, the level of forex reserves is quite low, under three months of import cover. So that doesn't paint a very pretty picture. And the big question marks are around fiscal consolidation and whether the government's serious about this or not. So there have been a couple of positive...
So they have to make tough decisions. Where can they make those tough decisions?
So I think they've already started. The fuel subsidies were removed in 2 phases, and that was a politically difficult decision, but it was done. I think the government's also issued a freeze on any new projects and stopped issuing government guarantees, which is also a positive. But I think going forward, there are a few things that investors will need to watch to get more clarity. One is the supplementary budget, which should come out soon, and we'll see whether the target for the deficit is revised and what plans are in motion to consolidate fiscally. I think the engagement with the IMF, whether another program or technical assistance or some or other arrangement is on the table, will also give investors comfort as a potential policy anchor, and with regards to the macroeconomic management of the economy. And I think thirdly, the debates around the utility tariff increases will send a strong signal if these are indeed raised, because that will free up a lot of space in the fiscal arena.
So investors pretty much looking for credible fiscal plans going forward.
Correct.
That being said, the country basically is saying they still want to go to the international debt market, launch another Eurobond. $1 billion is what they're looking for. Has the situation changed at all, or is there still strong appetite to invest in Ghana?
Ghana was one of the first countries that initially issued a Eurobond in 2007. Now recently we've had a spate of African sovereigns looking to tap international markets. Rwanda, Zambia, Kenya have it in the pipeline as well. I think there's still massive appetite, but it will largely be sentiment driven. That's why Ghana's got to really push through some credible structural reforms, because when it does go to market, sentiment is going to play a big part in the Eurobond success or failure.
Is there still as much excitement around the potential of the oil and gas industry?
I think definitely. There have been some hiccups, some ups and downs. Production targets weren't exactly met last year, but if you look at the first quarter numbers in terms of production, they came in at 112,000 barrels per day, which is quite close to the 120,000 barrels per day target that was initially specified. Mm-hmm. In addition, the second field 10 has been given the go-ahead. The local content bill has been ratified by the cabinet. So these are all encouraging signs, and I think the fact that production is increasing will be a positive in terms of boosting the public finances as well. Mm-hmm. So things are getting there slowly in the oil and gas sector.